July 10th meeting of the West Memphis Utility Commission to order. The first item on the agenda is approve the minutes of the June 12th, 2025 meeting. Everybody received them in the packet?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as.
Okay, a motion, Mr. Holmes, second by Ms. Brown. Any additions, deletions? All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is the June safety report.
Good morning.
Morning.
Great day to be here.
Yes, it is.
It really is.
Every day's a great day.
If you notice our June safety report, our numbers have changed.
Yeah.
I was really excited about our numbers, but unfortunately we had an accident on June 28th. Our electric superintendent, Mike Downey, had an accident at the dog track, which caused our numbers to go from 270 something to back down to 11. So our June safety reports as follows. Days since the last recordable was 11. Days without a lost time injury is 11. Recordable for June was 1. 2025 year-to-date injuries is 1. June incident rate is 3.0. And the incident rate for 2025 is 3.0. Our June report and handout was, we were talking about hydration. And as you know, like I said, stated on last commission meeting, that it's starting to get hot, so a lot of time fatigue can set in and you not even know it's setting in. Or you can very easily be dehydrated, don't know you're dehydrated. So I passed out a safety report handout speaking on hydration and how much it means to stay hydrated with water. Water, when you lose, I think one of the handouts said, water composes more than 60% of your body weight, which we probably already knew that. It said lack of water triggers daytime fatigue. It said a 2% drop in your water level can cause serious short-term memory. So I spoke with all our field crews and I stressed to them, let's stay hydrated. I even bought some hydration popsicles, so when it get hot outside, you feel like you getting overwhelmed, just grab some of these hydration popsicles. Let's do the necessary things, get in the truck, cool off, and do the things that's needed to be done. And so, like I said, so far everybody's being safe and doing exactly what they need to be doing. They're going through the popsicles pretty quick. I told them, them heat index popsicles, them they just joy time popsicles. But that's to be expected. That's to be expected. So we just want to make sure they stay hydrated, stay safe. And again, like I said, let's keep prayers for Mike Downey. Like I said, he's been with the company now 30-something odd years, and this was a serious injury, so keep him in your prayers. Thank you.
Doing okay though? Everything?
Yes, sir.
I was going to talk
Yes,
about
sir.
that.
Okay. I'm gonna let Bob speak on it.
So he was responding. So we had an outage at Southland, and he was responding with the standby crew because it was Southland. And behind the casino where the transformers are, we have 3 transformers back there, and the one is significantly overloaded. It's on Southland's side that it's overloaded, and they're working with their engineers to transfer the load over to the other transformer. But to help keep it in service and not overheat, they keep a sprinkler running on it. And it's been like that for a couple of years. Well, that creates mud, and so they had put some plywood down. Well, plywood got wet, and it was wet, and it started growing algae on it. And it's been like that for a couple of years. They had already gotten the power restored. They checked voltage, make sure that the voltage was good. They closed the transformers up and locked the transformers. And Mike was in the process of calling the director of facilities in the casino, and he was walking between the 2 transformers, talking on the phone, and his feet came out from under him on that plywood with the algae on it, and he fell down and literally landed on his head. He spent, what was it, 4 days in the hospital?
Yes, 4 days.
It was pretty serious when it first happened. He had lost his hearing. He had lost all feeling in his extremities. He was going in and out of consciousness. So it was a very serious accident, but he's since improving. He's up and moving around. He's got to go back. He's going to be off for a month. He's got to go back with a neurosurgeon. They still don't know what's causing some of his issues because it was too swollen, and they couldn't tell what was going on. So they've got to wait until that swelling goes down, and then the neurosurgeon will go back in and take a look at it. But he wasn't actually performing any work. He was making a phone call and walking at the same time. So one of the things Carlos has been doing is been talking to the rest of our crews. Number one cause of accidents are slip, trips, and falls. And one of the other things that we did after this incident was our water department went over. They removed all the mud, they removed the plywood, and they put gravel in around all the transformers, because Southland has the exact same problem that we do. Their employees are walking in and out of there all the time. It's our transformer that they're trying to keep cool. It's their fault that the transformer's heating up, so we're kind of both in the same boat. So to try to make sure that we don't have anybody have the same problem again, because we have a bunch of work that we have to do over there, so we put all that gravel in so that hopefully we're not going to have somebody else slip and have the same type of incident again. So it's a pretty serious accident, but he's doing a lot better. But we still don't know exactly what's wrong.
Good thing the transformers were closed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, wishing well. Any questions, comments? Right, Corey?
Hate to follow such sad news. Oh,
Well, I hope you got good news.
I hope so too. Good morning, everyone. So we're looking at June revenue. For electric, we had 2.4 million. Our water was 299,000. Sewer was 343,000, bringing our total revenue for the year to 18.7 million. Remove. Okay, for our June expenses, we had a total of 1.6 million. Again, our total revenue is 18.7 million. Other income now is 174,000. Total expenses for the year is 10.2 million, bringing our net profit to 8.5 million. I'm going in the wrong direction. Okay, financial ratio. So let me say, I finally was able to get us caught up to 2025. So that's why I don't have any of the previous month numbers available there. But for our days cash on hand for June, we had 70 days compared to May of 79. The fixed charge coverage ratio for January was 1.91. Gross margin ratio was 42%. Operating margin ratio was 48.01%. Current ratio was 8.39. Debt service coverage ratio was 8.84. I have a very, very optimistic goal by the next meeting to get our financial ratio as current as possible. We're going to be doing a lot of work to try to get that done, and yeah, hopefully we can get caught up. But does anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So Brett normally does the staffing report, and he's out. His granddaughter had a procedure today, and he took care of her. So he had to decide between us and his granddaughter.
That was easy decision.
But I'm just gonna cover what we've got going on with staffing. So, we're still extremely short-handed in our electric department, but we do have, we just got a couple of resumes, so we're gonna be interviewing probably, hopefully next week for some of our lineman positions. Our new water superintendent, who you all know, Jerry, is actively working on filling our water department, our open positions in the water department. I'm hopeful that by the end of this month, we will have those positions filled as well. He's got some good prospects as well. And then the EQ department, that position is open. Paul Holloway has assumed those roles, so we're not gonna fill that position. So hopefully, by the end of this month, we will have all our positions filled except for the openings in the electric department. And our problem there is we're looking to hire journeyman linemen, so we're looking for experienced folks. We don't, there's a shortage of people in the industry, in the whole industry, and so it's difficult to find people, and we're just gonna keep working on it. We wanna be real careful. We don't wanna hire a bunch of apprentices because we wanna make sure that we're not distracting our journeyman employees with too many apprentices, and then they're out, and that creates an unsafe condition out there while they're trying to work on the lines. So we're gonna be pretty selective about who we hire and the timing of that. As soon as we get some more journeymen in, then we can hire more apprentices, but we wanna make sure that we keep that ratio for safety and training purposes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do we not have a program that we can possibly pull some other employees out that have been here for a while to transition them over to these positions?
Well, we have an apprenticeship program to go from a first-year apprentice to a journeyman lineman. It's a 4-year process, and so that's what our challenge is. So we do have apprentices that are in different stages of their development, but they're not to the point where they can work on their own as a journeyman. So that's the distinction. So if they're an apprentice, they have to work with a journeyman. If they're a journeyman, they can work on their own. But it takes years to get to that level, and that's the challenge that we're fighting right now. So yes, we have folks that, and that's what I'm saying, we don't want to put any more folks in that pipeline until we have enough experienced personnel that when they get out on the job site, we have the right ratio of experienced personnel to unexperienced personnel.
Understood.
But yeah, we do have an apprenticeship program, and we do have folks that are in that apprenticeship program. We just, we're still looking for some journeymen, that's all. Any other questions? Okay.
Next item on the agenda is highlights of the financial statement, explanation of change.
So I have, it's not in your packet, because it's not completed yet, but I kind of wanted to go, there's going to be some changes in our financial statements this year. So the auditor just finished our financials. They're waiting for me to get some information back to them, and I'll explain that in just a second. But one of the things that has been problematic on our financial statements is we have what's called a qualified opinion. And what that means is what you're looking for in an audit is you're looking for a clean opinion. So your auditor reviews your financial statements and they have a clean opinion. So there's no material findings of anything wrong with your financial statements. The basis of our qualified opinion is we have water infrastructure that was installed in the early 80s, and there's no financial basis for what that's worth. So they can't value it. So we get a qualified opinion that we're looking at the financial statements, but we can't, basically what it says is we can't say with certainty that they're right because we have no valuation for these assets that are in service. And so in talking with the auditors over the past year, our depreciation schedule on those assets is 40 years, and they're still in service, but they're past their useful life, right? So they've been fully depreciated. So to get a clean opinion and get that qualified opinion off of our financial statements, we're going to have on our previous audits, when you look at them, we do a year-over-year comparison. So you'll have, 2023, 2022, and you look at the two numbers, right, side by side. This year, in our financial statements, we will only have 2024 numbers. And the reason for that is you want to make sure that you compare apples to apples. Under generally accepted accounting principles, you have to compare the same thing from year over year. And they're different because we're writing off those assets that are fully depreciated now. So our financial statements will be a little bit different this year. And the reason that we do that is one of the reasons that our bond rating went down last year was the qualified opinion, right? So to get rid of that qualified opinion, we're going to change our financial statements this 1 year, and then next year we'll go back to the comparison again because we'll be comparing apples to apples again. So Stevens Bank is our investment bank that we use to do all of our bond issues, and I've been working with them, and so they've signed off, and this is the right thing for us to do, and the whole point of it is to improve our financial rating moving forward. We will be having a bond issue in a couple of years to replace that power plant, and so we're kind of doing our homework now. Some of the things that we received a D rating on our bond, on our credit rating for, we didn't have any long-term financial planning. So we engaged last year, we engaged in capital budget planning. So we have a 5-year capital budget plan now. And we talked about that, we budgeted, we put money aside, some of our cash reserves. We have a qualified opinion on our financial statements, that's going away this year. One of the other things that's going to change in our financial statements is there's a note in our financial statements also that management has opted not to do the management's discussion and analysis of the financial statements. It's not required for a municipal utility, but your financial statements, the whole purpose of the financials is to give investors confidence that from a financial standpoint that we're sound, that we're a safe investment. And when we don't do the management's discussion and analysis, even though it's not required, it leaves a hole in that financial statement as to, there's a question, like the investors are like, why didn't they do that? What are they trying to hide? So that's what they're waiting on me to do. So I'll be getting that to them probably tomorrow morning, and then they will issue our financial statements as soon as they have that. That's another thing that we're changing to make sure that we get a better rating when we have our bond, when we have the creditworthiness of the utility evaluated again before our next bond issue. The last thing that we're doing to improve our creditworthiness is we didn't have any financial policies in the utility. So we're in the process now of writing different policies with the utility. So one of them is our investment strategy. So we have cash reserves and we have restricted funds from customer deposits that we invest, but we do not have a documented investment strategy. That was one of the things that the rating agency did not like about us. We didn't have an investment strategy. We don't have a documented cash retention policy. And that cash retention policy would be, we talk about it, our days cash on hand, how many months does it take, how many months can we pay our bills if all revenue stops, what is our cash retention policy, how much do we need to have per service line in the event of an emergency, right? So we're working on documenting that cash retention policy as well. All those things will go into our policy manual. We'll be coming back to the commission and asking you to approve these new policies that will be into place, but that's all trying to improve our creditworthiness with our investors. So when we do have more bond issues, that our cost of capital will be significantly lower than it is now. Does that make sense?
Sounds pretty good.
Any questions? I went through pretty quick, but any questions? Okay, thank you. You guys are gonna have to listen to me for quite a while, because the next three of them are me.
Item 6, completion of landscaping project, I love this, and additional issues and outstanding items.
Well, what do you
Ain't
got?
nothing covered in the above.
Mr. Smith, what do you think?
Well, what happened to the big evergreen bushes out there?
Yeah.
So that's the additional issues and outstanding items. Have you guys driven by at night and seen the sign illuminated? It looks good, doesn't it? With the dead trees, it looks better than it did.
They're accusing us of not watering our trees.
There's an irrigation system out there and it works just fine. So what the landscaper that installed them said was that when they installed them, it was during that really hot spell. It was 100 and, I can't remember, it was like 99, 101 degrees at that time. And those arborvitaes are very sensitive to temperature fluctuations, and they didn't fare well with as you can see. So they're going to be coming back and removing those trees. They're under warranty. They're going to come back in September and put new ones back in. They wanted to wait until September so we don't kill them again, basically. There's also 2 crabapple trees, or flowering crabapple trees, that go on either side of the door, and they haven't planted those yet for exactly the same reason. They were worried about the negative impact of the heat on those. And then the last 2 outstanding items with the landscaping is, as you saw where they've striped the parking lot, but all of the yellow paint on the curbs and the steps, they'll be coming back to do the yellow painting. It's a different process to do that. And then the caps around the front, they're painted white and it's peeling off, and they tried to pressure wash them off. The original plan was to pressure wash them off, and it's some sort of a epoxy coating that the pressure washer wouldn't take off. So they're gonna have to sandblast them off. So the 2 options were a chemical treatment to get it off, which I was hesitant to do because of the new landscaping. I didn't want to do that. So yeah, and so so they're gonna sandblast that off. So those caps that are kind of ugly looking right now, they'll be taken back to the original limestone and they'll be sandblasted. So in another month, it should look really a lot better than it does now. So that's where we're at with our open items.
The sign, it really does.
Vegetation.
So any other questions, comments about the landscaping?
Don't let Carlos touch it. That's not true.
You know, you get the comments about the dying bush, that tells you people are looking at it.
You know,
You know,
We had folks coming in when it was before, and they're like, before they started on the project, and the reason I asked Mr. Smith what he thought about it is he said something to me a couple times about how bad it looked out there. But we had folks coming in and we're like, we didn't know if the building was still open. It looked good, and I'm like,
Trust the process.
so.
Trust the process.
So we have a couple hiccups, bumps in the road we have to get over, but hopefully by this fall it'll look really, really great.
So they're
So
gonna leave them
When your
until
power's off, you know,
September?
it's.
they're gonna take the dead ones out, they're just not gonna put them back in until September. Huh?
The buildings are.
Paint them green. So yeah, come September it should look a lot better.
It looks better.
All right.
next item on the agenda is groundswell solar project.
So you have in your packet about groundswell, and you can read about it. But I'm going to give you a quick overview of what the program does and how it's going to benefit us and why we are participating in the program. So, Groundswell is a company, and they got a $150 million grant from the EPA to provide solar for all. They're specifically focused on communities that are lower income communities, because their business model is they come in and they finance the building of the community solar facility. We have requested, we're in an RFP right now, so the West Memphis Utility Commission's in an RFP for, to get a 5 megawatt solar field built. What they do is they build the solar field, and then they sign the PPA, which is a power purchase agreement. They sign the PPA with the developer. And then they literally give that 5 megawatts of energy to the utility. Then we take that energy that we get, and they manage the program, but what we do with that 5 megawatts of energy is we discount the utility bills of our lowest income customers. So depending on how many people that we get to sign up after the solar field is built, we would discount their bills anywhere from 20 to 50%. So we get the energy from them off of the solar field, and then we just use it to discount our hardest hit customers. So the utility has no outgo of money unless we choose to have outgo of money. I'm going to talk about that here in a second. But you know, we're able to offer assistance to our low income customers. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody. One of the things that we are going to do is, so a couple of ways that you can save money for the program is if we have land already so that they don't have to purchase the land, we can donate the land to them and they can build a solar field on the land. And we do have a parcel of land right now. It's by the wastewater treatment plant. It's actually it's a parcel of land between the wastewater treatment plant and the flood pond. And then Entergy's got a substation right by that. What I like about that is it's not near any residential customers. It's in a part of town that's already has industrial kind of stuff, and so it's not gonna aesthetically bother anyone or upset anyone where it's at down there. Right across the street is the levee, so they can't do anything across the street anyway.
How much land is
It's about 25 acres. And so if we donate the land and donate what we call an interconnection, so when they build the solar field, they have to interconnect it to our distribution system. So we have to install transformers and the poles and wires to get there. And typically the developer would incur those costs. We're going to donate those costs for two reasons. One is it helps keep their costs down to where they can help more lower income customers in other cities across the country. Right now they're doing these projects we're the only one in Arkansas right now that they're doing it, but they're in talks with several other cities in Arkansas. They're doing one in Virginia, 2 in Mississippi, 1 in North Carolina, 1 in Georgia. So they're all across the southeastern part of the United States, and they're specifically targeting lower income communities. The reason why I want to donate the interconnection and the land to the project is really two reasons. One is we will have ownership in the facility by doing that, and we'll be able to say to our customers that, you know, we are providing the discount to them. That's not just Groundswell, but it's the West Memphis Utility Commission that's providing the discount to our customers. So that was one plus, that one reason I wanted to donate those items. The other reason is we have 5 megawatts. I'm going to try not to get too technical here, but because it's on the distribution system, that 5 megawatts is, we have capacity that we can take capacity credit for in the MISO market. In the summer, that 5 megawatts of capacity credit is worth about $65,000. So over the life of the solar field, it will have a significant financial benefit to us, and it will far exceed the value of the land and the value of the interconnection. So that's money that we don't have to spend to secure capacity in the capacity auction every year that we're currently buying. You'll see those numbers where we secure capacity in the capacity auction. You'll see those numbers on the fuel adjustment, and we'll be able to keep that stable moving forward with this additional capacity that we get from this field. So it benefits us in significant other ways, and I have yet to figure out a downside for it. So that's it in a nutshell. Is the RFP. Some developers have reached out to kind of talk to us about the site, some other things like that, but I haven't seen any of the proposals come back yet.
Who will be responsible for maintenance on this field?
The owner of the solar field that installs the panels will be responsible for maintenance, and then they will also be responsible for remediation after the 20-year time period. If we don't want that solar field anymore, we want to take it out, they'll be responsible for the remediation of that field. So the ongoing maintenance, you have grass cutting, different stuff like that, maintenance with the solar panels, when the electrical grid under the panels that's owned by the site, they'll be responsible for all of that.
Damage to the panels from a storm?
Hail damage to the panels, they would be responsible for that.
What is the life of this field?
The contract will be for 20 years. Typical life for a solar field is 30. So that's, the panels are rated for 30 years, so they anticipate that it'll be there for 30 years and have a useful life of 30 years, but the contract is for 20. At that point, we will have the option of signing another PPA if we want, but the groundswell program is for 20 years. But given that we will be part owners in the facility at that point, we will get a much lower cost per megawatt on that facility.
Have there, these huge solar fields, have any of these things been there for 30 years?
The technology is not that old, so no.
Yeah, okay, so it's advancing so fast, in 10 years, all these big, huge fields are gonna be obsolete, I think. It's just, because look how far it's advanced in the last 10 years.
Are you talking about efficiencies of the panels? And so there's really two ways to look at that, right? So if you increase efficiencies of the panels, right, you already have the field in place, the infrastructure's in place for the field. The lowest cost thing in a solar field is the panel. So if you have a higher efficiency panel, provided that your infrastructure can handle it, if you change that panel out, you're able to generate more power in the same amount of land space. So to me, I would view that as a positive.
I was just thinking, do they degrade over a period of time to where they become less, it's all hypothetical at this point.
Yeah, so as the technology increases and gets better and they're higher efficiency, you're able to generate power in a much smaller area. You're able to, provide that benefit. Now, one of the things it's hard to understand is how the capacity auction works. And to put it into perspective, so the Big Cypress solar field, the one that's in Turtle, we get a significant amount of capacity out of that facility, and we're going to start to take capacity and energy out of that facility next year. If we didn't have to purchase, if we had to go out and purchase the capacity on the open market, I'm going to give you some numbers of what the capacity auction closed at this year. So a lot of folks look at some of the solar facilities that are going in across Crittenden County negatively. Like, we're taking farmland, they're not that great to look at, they only work half the time. but I'm gonna give you some numbers that may change that perspective for you. So the capacity that we take out of the Big Cypress solar field, if we had to purchase that capacity, and had we not had contractually been obligated for them to give us that capacity, we would have had to purchase it. This year, it would have cost us almost $3 million to purchase that capacity. So when you look at it in terms of that, so having that contract with that solar field and having that capacity available to us, we're saving $3 million off of what we would have to spend to get that power to our customers. So that one solar field has a significant positive impact on the 25,000 people that are ratepayers for West Memphis Utilities, because that helps me to not have to raise rates and keep rates stable, because I don't have market exposure for that capacity. Had we not had that solar field there, I would have to go to the market and purchase that capacity. Does that help you to understand? So it's not just, it doesn't just impact the agriculture of our region or our farmers or even our ag pilots and all those folks. It positively impacts all of our ratepayers as well. The one that's in Turl, we get half the capacity, the city of West Memphis, and the city of Jonesboro gets the rest of it. So that one benefits not one community, but two, and it has exactly the same impact for the city of Jonesboro as well. So there's a lot of positive benefits as well that a lot of folks don't understand, because it gets kind of technical on the electrical side, but those are ways that those facilities positively impact the whole city. Does that make sense?
We don't get any energy out of that. Doesn't energy get?
Our contract for energy starts on June 1st of 2026. So 2026, we will get 20 megawatts of energy and another 20 megawatts of capacity out of that facility for the next 30 years. So that will significantly improve. So that'll be the 20 megawatts is right around 20% of our annual energy costs. So that'll be about 20% of our portfolio will become renewable then. We're working on additional solar fields. So the groundswell, the 5 megawatts, that's going to be about 5% of our energy needs that we need.
Okay, this groundswell, if we get 5 megawatts out of it, it's gonna be like a 10 megawatt facility.
It'll be fine.
So you don't get the 50%.
So
Or am I?
you're not wrong. The majority of our load is during the daytime hours. Okay, so when the solar facility is online, so that's when most of our businesses are open, almost all of our industrial customers are open during that time, and that's when our load is the highest, is from about 7 in the morning till about 7 at night. You get solar capacity out from there, but then the load drops off at night. We have to look at it in terms of what our peak load is. So what is our highest usage? We're what's called a load serving entity. So what that means is that we provide electricity to end customers. So we have meters on people's houses, and so we provide that electricity that makes us a load serving entity. So when we plan what our generation portfolio looks like and what our capacity is, we have to put that based on our peak load. We don't always have that peak load, but we have to be prepared to deliver at that peak load. So one of the things why the solar fields mesh nicely with us is we're a daytime peaker, and so when the sun's out, it's a low cost way, quick to market way that we can have additional generation during the hours that we need the most. Wind, there's some wind farms that are starting to go in across Crittenden County. The state is a little hostile toward wind right now, but wind meshes nicely with solar in a renewable portfolio. Wind is most active at night. And so when the solar is down, you're not getting any generation from your solar. If you have wind generation available, it's most prevalent at night. So it meshes nicely with the solar. But solar also changes in its production capacity from one season to the next, right? So obviously summer, you're going to have the highest output capacity of the solar field. Winter is the lowest. Wind is the opposite. Wind is highest in the winter, lowest in the summer, right? And so you have the same issues, but if you're looking to have, I mean, ideally, by the time we negotiate all of our contracts, our power purchase contracts, outside of the plants that we already own, so the plants that we own they serve about 45% of our load. When we get the 20% coming out of the Big Cypress solar field, we'll have market exposure for about 35% of our generation. So we're working on long-term contracts for that other 35%. What that will do is it eliminates market instability, right? So if we have a long-term contract, we have a set price for what we're going to buy that energy from. We'll pass that cost savings on to our customers, but we don't have the price fluctuations. The only market exposure that we will have on our generation portfolio at that point is when our renewables are offline. So we still have to make sure that we have enough power to keep the lights on when the renewables are offline, so we have market exposure, we have to buy it on the open market. But we will significantly reduce that risk profile if we have long-term contracts. So this is another step in that direction, and we just keep working in that direction. So you'll see some things coming back in, and then when it comes time to sign the contract, we'll be asking the commission for approval to sign that contract. But that's what groundswell is, and that's what it's all about. Yeah, we believe that it's going to have a really positive impact on our hardest hit customers. Any questions about all that? I kind of got deep in the weeds on the generation, but hopefully that helped clarify some of the different things that we're up against with the electric industry right now.
Any further questions, comments? Next item is wastewater treatment plant update.
I always mess it up.
So since we last talked, they had finished putting the roof and the sides on the building that is supposed to cover the RAS West structure. And they are working inside to do electronics and stuff. They have finished with connecting the new UV structure with the old UV structure, the dry part with the wet part, and they've covered it back up. They have gotten we have 2 ditches back in service now with new aerators in them, and they're working to connect everything. As you can see them working down there. One of the new aerators had some issues, so they've got it turned off. So when we zoom in, that's why it looks like only 4 working in that second ditch. And they've started taking out the aerators that Code provided from the 3rd ditch to begin working on it. And they are working on dewatering it in the coming days. And then they're going to start fixing that one. Now, they're only able to keep 2 ditches on at the moment, and because we're on temporary power, so we're gonna work on getting hooked up to more permanent electricity for our ditches to be able to run. But we've got our first ditch back up and running, which hasn't been working for years, and we've got our second one back up and running. Now, that you can see that I'm talking about those 4 aerators in the second ditch, one of them's out.
There's all days are
Yeah, but it doesn't work on flat screens. It was a little wobbly, so they're gonna come fix it and get it put back in. Worked on it, fix it. I think that's pretty much.
Clarifiers. Didn't that put the big round circle?
Yep,
block?
those are the clarifiers.
It looks like they're pretty well got construction moving on all three of them.
Pretty much, they're working on little things here and there, like, they put in ladders since last time that we did that. And railing and something, everything. They also recently finished doing the electricity over to the clarifiers, but I don't think they're gonna turn them on for a long time.
Yeah, well, until we bring the rest of the plant online, then we can switch over to the clarifier.
Yeah.
There's some structures at the oxidation ditches that we can't turn on until we change over to the new people as well. We had the ditches up and running now, well, we have two of them up and running, which is what we've had, like Kate said, for years. But the capacity, the electric capacity of the temporary line that we ran, and while the electrician is upgrading all the rest of the old electrical infrastructure, we wanted to keep the ditches online, so we put a temporary electric feed in it. But we only size it to feed 2 ditches, because this is coming back out. So once they get that done, then we can get all 3 ditches back online. But it just has to do with electrical capacity.
Any questions?
We are definitely getting there.
Good, yeah. Double check.
Have you guys seen the East Barton water tank? What do you think of that? Any comments? What do you think of it? Well, that's what I was asking you for.
Well, I haven't seen it the last time, it was still all dry.
Yeah, they're in the process of cleaning up now, right?
They're in the process of cleaning the site. They did have final inspection recently, and there were some issues on the inside of the tank that they gotta go back and fix before our inspectors will sign off on it to be put back in service. But they're completely painted the outside, and that's done.
When I'm coming through there, it's not a sightseeing place, that's a pay attention to the traffic
You gotta
place.
watch where you going.
So I'll try to get by there.
It turned out nice. It looks good. So on the one side it has the high school logo, the West Memphis, and that's the side that faces east. And on the other side it has I guess it's a pitchfork.
Yeah, pitchfork.
Pitchfork, and it says blue.
We're gonna have those pitchfork.
That's what it is. Bridges are running out of town.
All right.
But it looks nice. If you haven't seen it, you should take a drive by.
Staff.
Try it.
Kids are from,
Yeah.
our students.
Yeah, and actually Lauren is actually working on, she's going to, the student that designed that, there were a couple, from her original design, there were a couple things that we couldn't put up there on it from her original design. One, she had a brick background on it, and that was going to be a little cost prohibitive to do that. So we wanted a solid background on it to just save a little bit of money. And then she had some logos for other companies that, one of them was the Boys and Girls Club, and I would have loved to have been able to put that up there, but because it's a city-owned, we couldn't promote one entity over another entity, so we had to pull that back off of it as well. But other than that, we tried to hold as true to her design as we could. So,
We really appreciate it that you built it.
the Worthington tank is the next one. We'll be starting that one in the fall, and another young lady designed that one as well. So we'll be following her design on that one as well.
that will be interesting, because I'm grown up at that time. Of course, that sucker's all. Okay, any comments? Next item is sponsor of Main Street, West Memphis for 7,500.
Yeah, so that one is, I'm just asking the commission to approve the utility being a sponsor for Main Street, West Memphis. One of the things that, you know, as a public power provider, a public utility, right, so we're owned by our ratepayers, we're a department of the city, is we do want to promote positive growth, positive things happening in the city. So Main Street, West Memphis is, you guys are all familiar with it, and basically we just would like to be an additional sponsor on that. We're going to use invest interest income. Here again, we're going to use unearned income. It's not going to be rate-based, the funds that we use for that. It will be unearned income from interest that we receive. Most of that is from our cash reserves. Same place that we get the funding for our scholarship fund. But it will just enable us to provide some financial support to the upgrades and beautification of Main Street, Broadway. So my ask would be that the commission approve to ask the finance director to give $7,500 to sponsor Main Street, West Memphis.
So have a motion, Mr. Holmes, second by Smith. I'm gonna say that. Any further discussion, questions? All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Has anyone been down to the food truck park? Go ahead. Anybody else? So you guys know what I'm talking about, right? So the utility actually just installed, so we installed the lights over the eating area, but we also just installed electrical connections so that some of these food trucks could plug into the electrical connections. One of the things, and literally the day after we installed them, they signed contracts with several vendors for a month long, that they'd be there for a month. So that was one of the things that they were looking for, is for a power source to be able to come in. So I think you'll see a lot more activity down at the food truck park now that we have power available for them there. I think they have a long-term plan for some water, but we're not there yet. We've been working with Main Street, West Memphis to, before they expend a lot of funds, you know, we wanted to see what the interest was in it, and if it was going to be successful. And they've gotten a lot of positive feedback for it. They've gotten a lot of interest in it. So they have different events planned. So as we keep moving forward, we'll start adding some of those other amenities to the food truck park. And then the sponsorship is a way that we can help them with some financial funding as well. So thank you for that.
The power there is good, but you've got 10 food trucks, you don't need 10 generators running.
Correct.
The extracts running.
Last night they had a bike night, so people were able to bring their motorcycles and their slingshots. We had about 5 or 6 slingshots and somewhere between 30 to 40 motorcycles. And we had 4 food trucks and we had a DJ. It was really great. It looked really great when the lights, patio lighting came on. It was fantastic.
West Memphis is showing out.
We're trying.
I think they're looking at doing a Jeep night on July 24th. They're looking at doing a Jeep night on July 24th.
They also have sponsorships, packages for the vendors. So you may see some of the same vendors often.
We're talking with them about different sponsorship ideas. One of the ideas was having tables there that a different organization could, you know, you could have the Coca-Cola table, right? It would be painted with, I'm not advocating, just because we'll say or Southland, right? And it would have their logo on it, but like trying to get some local businesses to donate a picnic table there for at the food truck park, stuff like that.
Because sometimes you have to wait.
So, I'm sorry?
That would be nice, because sometimes you have to wait. They didn't take-
Yeah. So.
Anything else to come before us? Have a motion to adjourn, do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Robinson, all in favor? Stand adjourned, thank y'all for attending.
If the